Hey guys, it is Dani'i and welcome to this update video on the tropics. And so in this video we're going to be talking about our systems across the North Atlantic basin. So we have major Hurricane Sam, which is a Cat 4, and so is this going to be a threat to land during the next couple of days? And we also have two disturbances behind Sam, and then we have the remnants of Peter, which have the potential to regenerate into a tropical cyclone. And so before I go into details, alright, so let's kickstart things with our disturbances. And so first up, let's talk about that newly identified one. So an area of low pressure is expected to develop in that region. So the reason we're not seeing that X is because that low pressure area has not yet developed. But once it does so, we're going to see the X to show its location, and a general westward movement is anticipated from this whenever we have that system developing. So we really have to wait and see what's going to happen. There is the possibility that it could make its way into the Caribbean, but we have to really wait and see what's going to be the eventual outcome with this, because things can change as time progresses. Alright, so our next disturbance now is about to emerge off the coast of Africa, and we're seeing that imminent development is not anticipated, but probably by the midweek or so we could start to see this getting in shape, and we could have it potentially becoming our next named storm. And so the next two names are the final names for this hurricane season, Victor and Wanda. So if we have both disturbances develop into tropical cyclones, then those will be the last two names used, which would exhaust the list, and then we will use that new supplementary list that is there. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at that third disturbance, which is the remnants of Peter. So there's a 20% chance that we could have redevelopment of this tropical cyclone, and fortunately it is located to the southeast of Bermuda, and it is going to be making its way out to sea, not being a threat to land. Alright, so let's go on to the main treat of this video, which is major Hurricane Sam. And so we're seeing here on satellite that Sam is looking very well right now. It is a category 4 hurricane with winds of 145 miles per hour. And so let's go on to the cone forecast from the National Hurricane Center, and we're seeing here that it is accelerating to the west-northwest at 8 miles per hour. So it is going to be remaining well off the coast of the Leeward Islands during the next couple of days, as it's going to be making its way mainly to the northwest, and it is going to be out to sea. And we're seeing here that it is expected to remain a major hurricane through to Friday, and there is the chance that this could even bring some impacts to Bermuda, but too early to tell because things tend to change a lot. So we really have to wait and see what's going to be happening in terms of that. And so is this going to potentially become a category 5 hurricane? So let's look at the potential for that to happen. So in terms of the favorability across the basin, let's look at the wind shear map. And so the different colors, they indicate the favorability of the shear. We have the green, that means favorable, the yellow, that means neutral, and the red, that means unfavorable. So we're seeing here that Sam is in a region of favorable shear and will be during most of this week. So the shear is not going to be too impactful on this. However, as we progress to the latter part of the week, we're expecting that things will start to get a little bit unfavorable, and especially as it's going to be making its way more in latitude, then there's going to be encountering cooler waters as well. So after a time, we will eventually start to see this rapidly weakening, but slow weakening is going to be anticipated by the latter part of this week. And fortunately, it is not going to be bringing any direct impacts to portions of the Caribbean, but if you're in Bermuda, you want to keep an eye on this because there's a chance that it could make its way close by. But let's see what our models are anticipating. So in terms of the track guidance here, we have quite a bit of available models, and we see that most agree that this is going to be making its way well to the east of Bermuda, which would be the best case scenario for this. But again, things are still pretty far out, and we have to wait and see what is going to eventually happen with this. And so in terms of the potential intensity here, we have quite a bit of available models, and they are showing that we're going to be having this mainly fluctuating as a category 4 hurricane. So we have some even expecting a category 5, and the only thing that is really going to be keeping Sam from intensifying is itself, because sometimes we have hour replacement cycles, which is not uncommon for such powerful hurricanes. So sometimes even after hour replacement cycles, we have rapid strengthening, so that could be the potential case, but there is the chance that it might have peaked at 145 miles per hour because the National Hurricane Center is not anticipating a further intensity from this. But I think there is still that window of opportunity for it to strengthen some more, and if we have significant strengthening, then most likely we could have a category 5 hurricane or a high-end category 4 hurricane from this. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the ocean temperature map. And so ocean temperatures are very conducive. They will be aiding in the intensification of SAM once it wants to do so, and as it's going to be increasing in latitude, especially when it is near or well off the northeastern coast of the US, that is when conditions will really get hostile for us to have further intensification and rapid weakening will be induced. And so finally, let's go ahead and talk about something that is a little bit important. So this map that you're seeing shows the typical tracks and origins of tropical cyclones during the month of October. This is not to say we're not going to be having any storms from the main development region or elsewhere in the basin, but majority of our cyclones develop from the Caribbean and they make their way up to the north, or we may have them developing well off the southeastern coast of the US. And so as I speak about this, GFS has been consistent with something potentially trying to develop in the Caribbean in the early to mid part of October. So let us go to that quickly. And so this is a map showing the isobars, which are lines of equal pressure, and those are the black lines. And when you see them being in a circular manner and the pressure is below 1013 millibars, that is a low pressure system and can be or tropical cyclones. And whenever you see the isobars being very close to each other, being very tightly packed, we have that very steep gradient, which indicates that it is a very strong system that is there. And so this is by Friday the 8th of October, and take a look at that in the Caribbean off the coast of Honduras. We have a 999 millibar low pressure system. This is potentially a tropical storm at this point. And then as we progress to Tuesday the 12th of the month, here we have probably a 986 millibar low pressure system making its way over the western side of Cuba. So this would be very, very interesting to see take place during the month of October, but it is not uncommon for us to have storms developing from the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, if you're in the Caribbean, I would say Jamaica, Central America, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, you want to be on alert, because we even saw what happened last year, especially as we were in the latter part of the year. We had quite a few systems that emerged from the Caribbean. We had even Eta, Iota, we had Delta, and other systems as well that affected the Caribbean during the latter part of the year. And so we could see a repeat of that this year, and that is not uncommon for us to have development, but it's just that major storms are not really anticipated. But we're in a La Nina season, and things can really kick up and surprise us during the months of October and November. So we'll have to wait and see what is going to be the eventual outcome in terms of that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually have storms coming from the Caribbean and making their way up to the north. And so guys, that is really it for this update video on the tropics. And so if you found it to be quite informative, please give a thumbs up, and you can also share your thoughts with me in the comments or ask a question. I will try to respond as best and as soon as I can. And just remember to always be weatherwise. And of course, I'll keep you updated as time goes by.